Good to see so many of you here so early, actually, in the day. I'm surprised. Hopefully your dinners were as good as mine, which was a fantastic one. I was delighted to do it. I think the pub crawl afterwards was the mistake. So hopefully you all avoided that rather than the great food, the great company. But from my point of view as Jim Mawson, founder and CEO of Global Core Prevention, it was one of the highlights of my life was yesterday, seeing so many people back here in London for the Symposium, listening to all your insights, listening to the sort of great deals that you've been doing, and also your vision on how to make the world a better place. It was really inspiring. So I came away with my head full, and so it's probably why I sort of hit the bars and pubs a bit too hard myself personally. So avoid that is key lesson number one. Lesson number two, listen to Maija Palmer, who's editor. She'll be on, she'll give a few thoughts about the wonderful work that her and her team have been doing, not just over the past year, but the years to come. And I think it's really inspiring. You might have seen the Power List and the World of Core Prevention, the annual survey. She'll tell you a little bit more about the great things they've been doing, and talk to her and her team about all the things that you were telling me, because they were really inspiring. And then after that, we'll kick into the rest of the day. So please join me in welcome to the stage, Maija Palmer.
Thanks, Jim. And really nice to see everybody. I promise I just wanted to take a few minutes. I know I'm standing between you and hearing from Nicolas Sauvage, so I will not, delay that pleasure for too much longer. But I did really want to take a few minutes just to talk about the editorial work, because, I hope you guys are all enjoying the event, right? I'm finding it tremendously energizing to be talking to everyone. We're all here, we're meeting. But obviously there's lots of times in between when we don't do anything. And so I want to sort of suggest that actually, GCB's editorial side is the way that we can all keep in touch in between these events and kind of keep up some of the momentum that happens in rooms like this. So in all those between times, so I took over as editor about a year ago. And it's been a really busy year. We've built up the team a little bit, and we've changed a little bit of, the way, the sort of things we write about, and our kind of outlook on things, been revamping a lot of things, hopefully to make it a kind of more engaging and inclusive experience for everyone. So just going to go through this really quickly. We've got a new homepage. I talked to kind of a few people yesterday who said, oh yeah, I like the website, but I always have trouble with my login, and so I can't get to the content, right? You don't need a login. It's pretty much all free to read. There is a little bit of some of the most proprietary data is still locked up behind the paywall, but you pretty much don't have to worry about that for 90% of what you'll find there. So please do go look at the website. And there's something fresh on there every day. We do a lot of different things. We kind of have started this best practice series of things. So this is all about the art of being a corporate investor. And it's a very specific occupation, as everybody in this room knows much better than I do. But you have to be a great investor, but you also have to be great at corporate politics. You have to be able to negotiate things in a way that, a lot of the general VC community does not understand. So we write about that. We also have analysis on the latest trends. Kalyan Antonov, who most of you know, does a great job in collecting all the data about who's doing what deals, which sectors are up, which sectors are down. So we will give you the latest on that. And then there's obviously, a constant stream of news from the community. So Nicolas is starting, and he's announced the opening in a London office. So there he is. We bring you that news every time there's a job move, an office opening, you close a new fund. Tell us about it, and we put it out there. These are some of the types of stories that we're doing. One of the new things is that we're also starting to look at kind of startups more, sort of lists of startups to watch. So we did one on 12 human microbiome startups that should be on your list if you're interested in that, or startups that are shaping the packaging sector. We're looking at themes like nuclear fusion, and I'm particularly pleased with that nuclear fusion story because we actually wrote about that about a month before that nuclear fusion breakthrough came last year. So, we really are trying to be ahead of the trends. And also we always feature people who have interesting ideas. Big picture of Gen there. He's been doing great work at Sony Ventures for years. Big interview with him about his methodology. And it's been super popular. So now these are the publications. So you'll see copies of some of these on the tables. I would encourage you to pick up a physical copy. They're really rare. We don't print very many of them. So if you're at the conference and you find one of these, take it home with you. This is a really good reference, especially the small one, the World of Corporate Venturing, which I'll give you a little bit more of a preview. This is the gold dust book. This is where we put all the data for the year. We do the annual survey. And thank you to everyone who's faithfully filled that out, because that is when we look at kind of what operating models people have, how many people are on the investment committee at different places, what are the sort of success measures that people use. I mean, this is really a kind of benchmarking for across the industry. And I'd really love to see more people sort of filling that out. But we had, a huge response last year. We put it all in this book alongside the other data that we collect throughout the year on general deal making. And you will not find a better guide to everything that's going on in corporate venture than that. The other thing I would say is, if you like the sort of event vibe, you can't make it to things physically, we do a webinar once a month. We have a new webinar series called The Next Wave, and this is, again, a mixture of looking at the art of being a CVC practitioner. And we have some really excellent sessions that are run by Liz Arrington and her colleagues on the GCV Institute, which really dive deep into some of those kind of day-to-day problems. How do you really land the value of CVC with your parent corporation? How do you handle a down round situation? How do you get through some of those dilemmas? And so those are excellent sessions. And then every other time, we also do a topic. So we have done things on space tech, on insurtech and climate change, quantum computing. And we pull in experts from those fields to kind of give everybody the latest. So it's a good way to kind of, hear the latest developments. And then really we are getting to the kind of the end of the list of new products, I promise. But we have a new kind of reports format. So again, this is more about kind of increasing the amount of deep dives we can do into things. So we did this report on the human microbiome. And again, it looks dense there on the page, but it's really quite reasonably snackable. It has a lot of startups to watch. It has, investors who are kind of giving their view on the market. And then we obviously have some kind of facts and figures. And it's always written very much from a corporate investor point of view. So the slant is not just what's happening in the human microbiome, but what's happening in the human microbiome that might be relevant for corporate investors. So what is becoming investable now? What is becoming a good proposition? That's always how we angle everything that we do. And this is the final slide. Just the editorial team is pretty much all here. We've got a room in Thames 2, so if you go all the way down the corridor that way, we're there all morning if you want to come and say hello. But we're also circulating around in the coffee breaks. So do kind of come and find one of the team. And if you're working on an amazing deal that you think would be great to tell us about it when the time is right, just let us know. And keep giving us your news. And now, that's all from me, and I will introduce you to Nicolas, who I'm sure you all know. And Nicolas has frequently featured on our power list. So, he is he's a mover and a shaker in this industry. And I'll now hand you over to Nicolas to tell you about his latest.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I don't think I need this one. OK, I'm going to start with a little tease. And don't use ChatGPT for that. What does Lighthouse, Iceberg, and London have in common? I'll say it at the end, don't worry. So for the Lighthouse, it's the analogy I've used before about global corporate venturing team. They're the lighthouse for our industry. They are showing us the path where we can do better without breaking, without crashing. And I think this is really important for our industry, especially when we're in a downturn, uncertain times. Think about it as a boat trying to find a safe harbor, but it's very stormy. That's what GCV is doing for us. And so I'm really glad that we are here to support them as much as they are supporting us. It's also why I'm doing this Corporate Venturing Insider podcast every 2 weeks. And so far, I think I have 66 podcasts. We are getting Pepsi tomorrow published. We're going to get really good ones. So that you know, I'm not sure if you've seen, but it's on YouTube, and it's 60% female practitioners, okay? So it really is a nice way of showing the diversity we have in CVCs. And it's not just the head of CVCs I interview, it's actually across everyone in CVCs that have a really good way of sharing our best practices, what we need to learn from each other. And one of the beauty of CVCs is we're all working together. So we actually share these best practices together. And so that's the lighthouse. It's how do we navigate these storms, current storms, future storms, together, and make sure that we don't crash, but we elevate all of us to the top and help entrepreneurs be very successful. Because at the end, there's only one way up. It's to help entrepreneurs be successful. The second one is iceberg. And I like to think about the corporate venturing space as an iceberg. You have probably, let's say, 1,000 CVCs that knows what they are doing and that comes to this event, okay? We're the top of the iceberg. But according to GCV, we have about 6,000 CVCs in total, or CVC units. And that means 5,000 which probably wish to know what to do. And they are probably trying things. And they are probably not knowing all the best practices that Maija just talked about. And that matters a lot to help the bottom of the iceberg, the one we don't see. And so when we talk about all these initiatives at GCV, I think it's good to think about it from this angle of the top of the iceberg and the bottom of the iceberg. How do we raise the ceiling for the top of the iceberg? How do we get even better at what we do? But also the bottom of the iceberg, how do we raise the floor? How do we make sure that every corporate venturing unit get good, follow the best practices? And even if I cannot convince you that this is really important, let me just say that if this bottom of the iceberg don't follow the best practices, entrepreneurs are not going to know which one is which. And the reputation that we are building in the last decade is going to be compromised. So I would like to maybe make a call that we should really think about how to help every CVCs, especially when they are young. And I have this Medium article that I've posted publicly as we were starting TDK Ventures. And to be honest, this is something that I knew I had to write when I was getting started, because I knew I would forget how hard the journey is to start a CVC. And so what I would also encourage is everyone who is in the audience who's starting a CVC, please do journal your learnings. Please do share with others what you're learning, what is tough. There is not one CVC journey alike. So what you're learning could be good for others to learn and to decide to follow or not to follow. At the end, the design of every CVC is also different for each. Now we talked about lighthouse, iceberg. Let's move to London. And so London, like Maija said, we just announced we're opening our London office. It's super exciting. And so if you know someone really technical, that loves technology, that loves energy transformation, that believes in sustainability and building a greener planet, we're recruiting. And it's on our website. But this is also linked to our fund EX1. So EX stands for Energy Transformation. That's our first specialized fund at TDK Ventures, where we are going to focus all the investment and recruit a dedicated team just to invest in a more sustainable, greener planet. Decarbonization along energy storage and energy generation. And we believe London is the best place for us to address and to learn and to help entrepreneurs in Europe. We will also invest in North America. And so with this, I will go back to my question. What's common between Lighthouse, iceberg, and London? Close, close. It's all about entrepreneurs. And I wrote a Medium article about the fact they are the impact scalers, the ultimate impact scalers. Why? Because they want to bring positive impact to the world and scale it. What are CVCs? Or even VCs? Or capital allocators? We are the impact scalers behind these impact scalers. We can help them to be even more successful more quickly. And that's what I call impact scaler squared. If we do our job well as a community, and not just the top of the iceberg, but the full iceberg, we can help so many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs be more successful and bring a positive impact to the world, to society, and to our planet. And so what's in common for me is impact scaler squared. Thank you, everyone.